Sometimes I feel like we live with regret based on the kind of work we put into something. They're like saying like women always fear like they'll do so much to like turn a boy into a man, and then somebody else is going to get all of the hard work they put into someone. I kind of feel like sometimes that's the same thing. Like when you're a person who carries God's energy, everything you do is pretty much intentional, and you walk with purpose. You know what I mean? Like everything you step foot into, every avenue of your life or aspect of your life that you put effort into has a level of your energy. And it's like sometimes it don't always work out as planned. And there's a level of regret or, you know, resentment and fear that, after you leave, all of the seeds you've sown will start to sprout. And you just didn't have the capacity to, wait it out. But what I want to say to that person is if something is draining you, but yeah, if something is draining you, depleting you, and you feel like you're being called in another direction, or you feel like you've done all you can do and what you want to do as far as investing your energy, because what people don't realize is energy is everything, right? God is energy. And so everything is an extension of energy. That means you as a person, your physical body, what you can do for people, your money is an extension of your energy, and how you invested and what you invested in is what you attract to yourself as well. But it's just like if you know that the energy you are investing in something is not being reciprocated, it's not being respected, but instead it's being used, it's being manipulated, it's being downgraded, it's being gaslit, and even though I hate using it, I hate words that start to trend in our community and like destroy our community. like it's so crazy how humans gravitate to the most, like the words that have the most negative energy attached to them. And that's the new form of power. Like right now is like the meaning, like the power that words carry. And because it was such a mass awakening, I know I'm getting off topic, but because it was such a mass awakening and people were going through, that hard part of healing or the ugly part of healing, all the things that they were trending and throwing out there doing that like stint in the midst of 2020, 2021, those words carry a powerful energy. So you got to be careful how you use words like trauma, toxic, trauma bonds, toxic, gaslit, narcissist. All those words that were circulating carry an energy that, to me, is almost like a form of dark magic, whatever you want to call it, even witchcraft, but not in the sense of talking about all, like as if all witchcraft is bad or whatever, you know what I mean? But just in some, it's carrying a negative energy. The connotation behind them may not, because of the way they're being used, so inappropriately and so dehumanizing and so ill-willed to me. I feel like they carry energy, especially because a lot of times the trauma that it put onto us as we're already going through the trauma of healing through spiritual awakenings, it just did something to us differently. When you're going through a spiritual awakening, people who really know understand that you're like almost like your mind is so open that everything, you're back at that state like of childhood in a sense. Like things can easily get programmed to you. Things actually hit your soul, your core, your spirit, and they can really do stuff to your ego, to your sense of self, to your mind, to your heart, to your spirit, all those things. So you have to be mindful of what you've been exposed to during that period and how it's affected you and how you may need to refrain, reparent, whatever. But yeah, so like I was saying though, don't regret it, because at the end of the day, if somebody leaves you, if a man leaves you, if a woman leaves you, and you feel like you've invested so much into helping them heal and become better, and if a job, you feel like you've put a lot, you're all into it, and all of a sudden as you leave, the success you see comes in, or the person begins to be happier in another relationship and actually taking care of responsibilities or doing what they're supposed to be as a partner, as a lover, You just got to know that it wasn't for you. And who knows, that person may need to go through their experience and they may end up getting hurt, and they may need to realize that what all you did, and they may come back. Like the saying goes, if you really love somebody, sometimes you may have to let them go. And if it was meant to be, they'll come back eventually, What's meant for you won't miss you. And you got to kind of walk with those beliefs. Because I know there's a lot of negative things to infiltrate our mind and our thoughts. But what is our mind if we never believe the positive, but we always are accepting of the negative? What is our reality? Bleak, miserable, hell on earth, not heaven on earth. I know sometimes it feels like, that's bullshit, man. Like all this stuff, positivity. That's how our mind is easily going to do that. Easily. But like I always say, for discernment, you always got to ask yourself, what does this do for my mind? What does this do for my heart? What does this do for me? What does this do for my family? What does this do for the collective? The way I'm thinking, what does it do for me? Does it uplift me? Does it empower me? Does it motivate me? Or does it discourage me, defeat me, disempower, depress? You get what I mean? You got to always have those rules of thumb in the back of your mind. But yeah, so hopefully this kind of gives you an idea, and living a life through regret or being fearful of you not reaping what you've sown, because you will. Just because you don't reap it from that plant or that seed in particular, trust me, the energy that you've put out is still out there, and it will come back to you in many forms. The energy is infinite. The energy comes in everything. God is everything. The creator of all. And you are, and God is living through you. So everything that you create, it's coming back to you in some form. It's like a circular, thing. Reciprocation. Even if you may not get it from that person or that individual or that thing or that whatever, it's going to come back to you in some form or fashion. And this is not an idea of karma. This is just my interpretation of you do good things and good things will come. But yeah, anywho, as always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out. So for this segment, I'm going to be talking about rich people advice. So what we have to understand is everybody's in a different phase of life. And sometimes we get so far in our new phase that we forget where we came from. We lose the essence of it. Like some spiritual teachers don't know how to tap into the collective that's just starting off in their journey of awakening and who are still in poverty because they're already successful and they've kind of lost touch with that. So their resonance is more of the people who have kind of been in their journey for a little bit, kind of like similar to them. So they're just in alignment. And there's nothing wrong with that. But like, say me per se, I may resonate more with the people who are kind of like just starting off, who are like, they're still in the struggle mode, in the grind mode, because that's kind of where I'm at, where I am. But I have the wisdom and the downloads and the connection, the divine connection to give certain wisdom that may be able to help them. You know what I'm saying? Because we kind of going through things in like similar timelines. But, rich people, a lot of times, and especially depending on their background, not all rich people were born, got it out the mud, I can say base. Some were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, meaning they were born into success, born into riches, or they had a lot of privileges that gave them opportunity, resources, and just shortcuts. So there's a different perspective that they may have that may not relate to you or may not just resonate with you. And so I'm saying all this to say, because I ain't gonna lie, I get tired of rich people, not all rich people, some rich people saying that we need to stop caring about money. It's kind of like they devalue money, or like You need to be more about, or stop worrying about these material, these things, they don't matter, you can't take them with you. I get it, it's true. Or money does not buy happiness, or money is not everything. I'm like, okay, it's not, but it is. Because when you tell me it don't buy happiness or it's not everything, you clearly don't know what it feels like to not have food in your fridge. You clearly don't know what it feels like to not have jackets in the winter. You clearly don't know what it feels like to not be able to pay your rent at the first, second, or third of the month. You know what I'm saying? Like, so these are real struggles that people go through on a day-to-day basis. And so when you truly understand that it's a direct relation, my sense of survival is in direct relation to how much money I have, and then you put us into this consumeristic, capitalistic society where we're really programmed to yearn and need money on top of wanting it. Half the time, if you ask a lot of people, they're like, man, bro, I don't even just want to be rich. I just want to, like, be good, like, not have to worry about this or that bill, or if I can pay for my son to join this sports team, or I can pay for my daughter to join that sports team, or go to this good school, or, you know, have a house with a backyard, or it's like to me just bare minimum when it comes to livelihood, or like the American dream. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just what people work for. Because a lot of people out here working these 9 to 5s, working 40 plus hours a week, and they're still living check to check. They get their check just to be broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, you broke before you even see the check hit your account. So it's like, don't tell me money can't buy happiness. And then when, you know, food and gas is going up, even though I don't really pay attention to that, because if I need it, I'm not really looking at it, because it's not going to do nothing for me but make me more stressed. It's just like, I need it, I'm getting it. I can't sit up here and be crying over spilled milk. Like, it is what it is. But back to the topic, it's like, these are things that, like, to me, tarnish the relationship that black people have with money. Because people have so much shame, guilt, and judgment revolving around it. People have so much programming that does not allow you to love money as a channel, as a catalyst, as a source, not necessarily the source, but just a tool and a channel to get some of the things that we want in this world. If abundance is my birthright, the abundance of this land does include material things. If I want a house for my son and my daughter, or whatever, you know, children to play around and live in, if I want to be in an environment that does not fuel me with stress and fear and danger, if I want to be able to go out to eat every now and then, or have a date night, or go on a vacation, or take, you know, my family on a vacation, these are not extreme. I didn't say I wanted to buy an island. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like, you're not asking for too much. And don't let anyone make you feel that way. Like I say, perspective is perspective. Everybody has their right to their perspective, but you don't always have to integrate someone else's perspective into your life if it doesn't fuel your spirit, or if it doesn't uplift your spirit, or, you know, motivate your spirit, or uplift, or inspire. All of these high vibrational energies. If it's sitting up here filling you with guilt, shame, judgment, fear, depression, like, no. That's not sitting right with your soul. That's not sitting right with your spirit. And that's not to say that sometimes tough love does fuel you with a little bit of anger or triggering, but you know when something is really, like, for your good, or when it just really just seems like poison to your soul. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, when in rebuilding our relationship with money, and I am going to attach my other one where the money resides, and money mindset, or Money Monday, some other reflections I had on money. I'll add that. So But yeah, there's just more than one way to build your relationship with money, and more than one way to see money and being rich and being wealthy. Dream bigger. You don't have to keep humbling yourself and downing yourself. To me, that's still, to me, slave mentality. That's the way that we've been programmed to be. Be these humble servants to, is it really the Lord, or was it to master, to what they wanted us to be, to serve them? You know what I'm saying? God wants you to be your highest self, at your highest, fullest potential. Remember that. You know, I'm always trying to get to the bottom of, like, maybe why black people have a rap of being lazy and why sometimes we battle with, you know, working and grinding. And I really just, for me, I really feel like it comes from a place of, we're not lazy. We're really tired. When you're poor and you struggle and you're always trying to get out of the struggle, can't nobody tell me that I don't try my best, that I'm not working hard and grinding and hustling to get out of that circumstance. And I think for me, grinding is a triggering word, and I prefer to use like words like, you know, drive, self-determination, will, passion, self-discipline. Not even self-discipline, but because I feel like they kind of, in a way, say like passively is saying that I'm like lazy or something. And my thing is not that I'm lazy, it's not that I don't have drive or whatever, I don't know how to grind it out, but it's like I don't want to grind it out for somebody else's dream. Like, I don't want to grind it out for somebody else's company. I'm just at a place where I am not trying to help somebody else level themselves up. I'm trying to put all my energy in how can I level myself up. Anything outside of what is serving me and my family and my legacy or the betterment of my community is just literally a crutch, and not in an enabling way, but like a stepping stone to get to where I want to be for myself and my goals. It's not, I'm no longer investing my energy into someone else's vision, in someone else's dream, into someone else's company like I have been, because it's gotten me nowhere. Me personally, I'm not saying it for anybody else. Me personally, being the teacher's pet, being the good girl, being the one who's always doing things right, has gotten me nowhere. You know, and I was just really thinking of like, what's the root of why grind is triggering to me. And I think it's because when I think of like grinding for somebody else, I mean, even if it's for yourself, and gaining a sense of self-discipline and whatever else you take out of this job, but it's like the process of gaining that experience through someone else's business makes me feel used. It's kind of like you capitalizing off of my own personal growth. And my mind is very self-sabotaging. But this is what I'm working through, because, you know, the black mind does carry a lot of complexities. Complexes, you know, just because it's like it carries so much historical trauma and like the wounds of like slavery. And that's why I be wanting to detach from that sometimes, the narrative, because I feel like it makes you carry a certain level of disability, almost like carrying those wounds. If you think about it, you're a wounded soldier. If you're a wounded soldier, how much can you fight versus someone who's more empowered? So that's why sometimes I try to let go of it, because it can manifest into like victimhood. But I do also have to like address my emotions and feelings and thought processes as well, and try to get to the bottom of it to kind of heal through it. And so I was just reflecting on that, and just kind of like something I tried to record this morning, it would allow me, is just being aware of like the depressive energy in all of your avenues or aspects of life. You know, even in the business world, you know, a lot of times these bosses are very conditioned, and most of them are unconscious to it, and just because it's something that's just been conditioned in our capitalistic societies, that's very dominant, very controlling, very oppressive in nature. And, you know, they try to buck break or willy lynch you in a sense. just extremely kind of putting it, the person who's like a revolutionary, a resistant spirit, a rebellious spirit, every energy we have in us, we got to know how to balance it and regulate it, because sometimes it can pose as a roadblock to your blessings. But you got to kind of know when to listen to it and when not to, or when to take it as intuition and when to take it as maybe a wounded experience. Either way, it's all out of survival to protect you from being put in a situation that you don't want to be put in. So your mind will create scenarios or thoughts or processes based on what you've seen or what you've been through or what you've heard about, to prevent you from being in it. Like, man, I don't know, it seemed too good to be true, or the what ifs or the worst case scenarios that come into your mind when something good is coming up, or when something seems peaceful. Oh man, you bored. Oh man, something bad can happen. These are all survival tactics of the mind. And sometimes you just got to know when to realize that your mind's advice isn't always the best one, or only one aspect of that advice. You got to look on both sides of the coin, or know that it's a spectrum, not just black and white thinking. There's gray area in the middle. It's not just this one thing extreme negative and not that one thing extreme positive. There's some gray area in the middle. There's some life is like a series of waves. It's not just a plateau of perfection or a plateau of negativity. Life is a roller coaster. It's a road trip. There's so many pit stops. There's so many dips and valleys, and so these are all aspects of getting an understanding of your mind, and just kind of staying in that driver's seat when you maneuver through it, and being around people who may be consciously or unconsciously manipulative of you to serve their purpose or them. And because to me, the only thing you should be serving is God and your higher self, your mission for yourself. What does that look like? What steps do you need to take to get there? Don't get sidetracked by staying too long at the hotel in the road trip of life, and that hotel's someone else's journey or someone else's goal and vision, that you lose time to get into your own place. And don't beat yourself if you have. Everything is a learning process. So yeah, you did stay there long. Okay, now just check out and get back on the road again. What's meant for you is meant for you. You can't really miss it. It's just I'm trying to save lost time. And that's what teachers do. They kind of help you, give you a blueprint so you don't make some of the same mistakes that they've transcended through, or made it through on their own personal journey. And they've gained the wisdom to share with people who may not have that experience. Experience is our best teacher. So those who have more of it have more to teach. But yeah, this just kind of was my reflection on that, and just kind of how I would get to the bottom of stuff, because I still battle with is it really all in my head? Am I being it's too good to be true type of person? Am I making excuses because I don't really just know what's foreseen, and this is kind of like a defense mechanism for my anxiety? The mind is so complex that it's easy to go down a rabbit hole, guys. And this is why it's a diary. This is a diary of a conscious black soul. It does not mean I have all the answers. It does not mean everything I say is going to give you peace. Sometimes it may make you think a little bit harder, analyze things, but I even have to come back and recenter and reground myself. But this is all just reflection. Reflection is healthy. You just got to know how to regulate it, okay? But as always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out. One thing about me is what I'm always trying to do is empower people. And so in doing that, one of the things I found for solutions is giving people tips on how to recognize oppressive or dominant or controlling or manipulative energies, and so you can stay ready, so you ain't got to get ready, so you can stay in the driver's seat. It's not to make you more distrustful or more paranoid or skeptical or cynical. It's just being real. I wish everybody in this world had genuine, pure intentions, but they don't. And genuinely, this is why nice guys do finish last, because we give so much benefit of the doubt, which I don't feel like you shouldn't do, but I'm just saying it's okay to balance that out with a little practicality and just being mindful of not everybody has the same intentions as you. You know what I mean? And one of those things is be aware of people beating you to the punch. I call it beating to the punch because what they do is they try to say, like, they know how they come off or how their business comes off or how, whatever they come off as a person or a company or whatever. And so they try to beat you to it. It's too good to be true, right? I know you walk around and you see everybody smile and it feels like something out of a Matrix or a Twilight Zone, huh? So what that does is gives your mind a little bit of a sigh of relief because now you're like, oh yeah, man, I was kind of tripping in my head. I was thinking it's like they kind of already know what you're thinking because this is what they do. Companies, they know psychology, you know what I'm saying? So they beat you to the punch with it and they try to make it seem like what you're feeling is normal, and it's because your mind can't wrap its mind around it because it is too good to be true. We're this, we're amazing, we're not like the average this. I'm not the average dude. I'm not the average female. So yeah, your mind is gonna jump to distrust and paranoia and have all these kind of random thoughts that make you want to leave a good situation because it's like, dang, trouble's right around the corner. And sometimes you do need to recondition that because maybe it's not trouble around the corner. Maybe it's something good around the corner. But if you're always going with just the one mind of negative, then you can miss out on the blessing. But on the other hand, you do, to me, also have to be aware of the possibility of it being true. So, I mean, you have to just ask yourself at the end of the day, are you willing to take the risk? And are you willing to lean more into faith? Over fear, or is it something you even want to invest your time or energy into? Because there are going to be moments where you do have to kind of just jump, leap, take that risk, take that leap of faith, whatever. But then there's also some times where you have to like kind of be able to see and discern when you're stepping into a situation that could be possibly worse. But at the end of the day, always know to tell yourself, what doesn't kill me makes me stronger. So even if, you make a mistake, you may take that risk and something bad comes out of it, something good came out of it too. Because now you have another level of knowledge, wisdom, and you may have learned something like a lesson out of it. And you have something that you can take away into your next experience in life. So at the end of the day, it wasn't in vain. Something was received from that experience. But that was just something I was just thinking about. I was just sitting here reflecting, as usual, per usual, because when you're pretty conscious, it's almost inevitable you're going to go through phases of overthinking and whatnot, but, I've been trying to lean more into spirit or my emotions and just my feelings and, like, my passions, leaning more into that and, like, what just honestly makes me feel good and happy, and it's sustainably, like, spiritually prosperous. Like it's sustainable. It's not like so dependent on external forces. It's something I can do within myself, and not always needing someone else to validate me in some way or just an outside force to kind of make me happy, like trying to find more ways to like get into that energy by myself. Self-sufficiency, spiritual self-sufficiency. But but no, I was just reflecting on like work and since I've been really into that like hard, I know it's a lot of people are into feeling this like when the song came out, You Won't Break My Soul, it kind of just almost solidified that where the collective mindset was going to go, just because we are cut from the same cloth. A lot of times that collective consciousness, you're pulled in mindsets that maybe not all the time you agree with it, so you have to sometimes attach and make a conscious choice to not go with a certain mindset when you know you're spiritually connected. You get what I'm saying? You got to cut cords sometimes. But I just know a lot of people, especially with the scare of like, recessions and like all these other things, people are really reflecting on work. And the thing is, it's like, what I hate about people becoming consciously aware of, like, the way they want to be treated in jobs is that most jobs are still on the lower vibrational plane, like on the traditional toxic old school method of business. And so with that being said, people who have integrity, people who have a certain level of righteousness within themselves and what they want for themselves, it's hard for them to find jobs that align with them. And not everybody, and I'm gonna keep it real, not everybody's meant to be a freaking, card reader, like astrologist, spiritual teacher, whatever it's basics, spiritual occupations or whatever. Not everybody is called for that. If you're being consciously aware and going through spiritual awakening, does not mean you're called to be a like full-time teacher. To me, it's more about walking in that purpose. Like, it doesn't mean like you're it's so hard to like explain it. It doesn't mean you're supposed to be on, this social platforms and just fully devoting your life to these types of platforms. It could be, oh, you're going into nursing. Okay, now carry this level of consciousness into nursing. Because how are we going to expect to shift out of these like toxic systems, and how we expect to crumble these systems if there's no like freedom riders in these systems? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need people with good intentions in all aspects of life. Teachers, doctors, television, entertainment, media, hair, beauty, fashion, everything. Like, we need them. Religion. We need people who have more than just, or who have more drive other than just money. And that's something that I'm battling with, because I've left 2 pay-per-performance jobs, and I just didn't sit right with me, the things that I had to do to meet like my quotas, if you could say, or my goals. And it's not that I was just being like dishonest or like manipulative, but it's like, it was hard for me to do certain things knowing like my heart, like based on like I can't, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I can't bypass or look past an issue you're having and just to sell you something, you know what I'm saying, or pitch you on something. Like, it's gonna be hard for me to look past the bigger issues. And sometimes that's what I feel like I had to do. And then, or it was just a lot of things within me as a person. And sometimes I hate that about myself, because everybody's like, man, you just gotta be like, fuck it, man, do what you gotta do to get your money. But it's like, but that's my whole MO, is like not feeling like I'm manipulating people or getting people to do the stuff that, they won't want to do. I mean, if something's for a good cause, yeah, I can, it is what it is. At the end of the day, everything has a little bit of unintentionalness in it. We all are trying to live out here. I mean, even spiritual teachers, they ask for money not just out of pure greed, but because they need to make a living. That's why I don't feel bad about preachers and pastors. Like, they need money too. Like, they're devoting their life to the ministry. They need survival too. Now, they don't mean like get 6 Mercedes and Teslas and Benz, whatever. You know what I mean, though. But I feel like there's a thin line between people trying to make people in integrity feel bad about getting money. And a lot of times what I'm looking at is the majority of these roadblocks in this society are meant to keep like good people and nice people down. This is why that term, nice guys finish last, a lot of times does play out, because we're constantly feeling guilty about stuff when we know our heart. That's why one of my major mantras to ground myself and, give myself the peace of mind that I need is, God knows my heart. For facts. Nobody can tell me nothing. Nobody can tell me no occupation I get into makes me a person out of integrity. Because I know when I do the job, what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but that's what a lot of us battle with, and trying to be righteous and trying to be spiritual and trying to be all these things. You still have to look back on it and see, like, the biggest picture is always going to be for you and your legacy. You deserve a certain level of peace, prosperity, abundance. You know what I'm saying? And we get these jobs or we're not getting these jobs. And the thing is, if you're wanting to like kind of rebel and revolt against the corporate systems or the business models, systems, that you got to be able to have a long-term plan in your passion too. Like, I'm not saying over here be a nomad and just wing it your whole life. Have some sort of plan if you're going to go that route. Like, because at the end of the day, your child needs the best. I mean, they need stuff too. Like, be mindful of them as well. Like, your happiness, of course, has to come first in a sense. But what is your goal? You always have to look at your, like, the why. Like, what's the bigger picture? Happiness and sustainability for your family, not just for you. But yeah, that was just something I was thinking about. Don't let the stuff, as I think about awakening for Black and brown people specifically, I think about, and a big aspect of it is, the roadblocks that we face when awakening. And so when you think about a lot of the, as I always say, the guilt and the shame that's associated with Black traditions, Black culture, and its traditional, whatever you may feel like it's rooted in, we have to come to an understanding that a lot of these traditions may or may not have come from pleasant roots or history. They are still rooted within us in some aspect of us, in our sense of self, in our sense of culture, in our sense of unity. And to strip that from a person and tell them, in order to get to a certain place, you have to denounce or just totally cold turkey, just stop it out of some sense of judgment, guilt, and shame, it's counterproductive to healing. What I bring is a happy medium, a place free of judgment, because to me, you always have to keep coming back to the light, keep coming back to the heart, keep coming back to the divinity. And that is not from a place of judgment. The divine understands history. The divine understands that. And everyone's perspective is based off of their spirit, their ancestors, their God, who they worship. You know what I'm saying? But to me, an almighty God who created us all understands the things that have happened on this physical plane. You know what I'm saying? So God understands what has happened. And he's not coming here to wake people up and by guilting them, by judging them, by making them feel horrible, or leaving that up to the ones he have chosen to do that work for him. If only God to judge, who do we think we are to do it for him? You know what I'm saying? And another thing I want to kind of talk about is, there's so many racial double standards. And I think about the stupidest thing. This is the beauty of divine messages. It can come from the smallest things. You can go outside and see 2 trees and get a divine message. I was literally throwing away this, those mini containers of Vaseline, not the lipstick, not the chapstick size, but like a little bit bigger than that. So I was throwing away that had some lotion in it that was given to me by a ex coworker, and I was like, you know what, that energy, I don't want that lotion. So I threw it away, and then I was thinking, this person who brought it out, he was white, whatever, and my mind started automatically going to like a stereotypical or prejudiced white person's mind, which may say like, she should understand or appreciate this, because it's quote unquote what, the average society would deem as ghetto. You take a empty Vaseline container and you put some lotion in it and you bring it. Now, one may try to say that that's ghetto, and what does that do to the psyche? If you start to feel a sense of shame, and then you start associating it with a race. But the double standard is him bringing it out. I could look at it as, oh, that's innovative. That's one way to be innovative. But if I was to bring it out, it's like, look at this. Look at this ghetto shit, or look at this hood shit, or niggery, whatever it is. that we may associate to it. And it's like that right there is a prime example of the programming that Black people have a hard time transcending through because it's constantly being associated with us. And if I can have these thoughts, I know for damn sure there are people out there who have these thoughts. And my goal is to help reprogram, shift the paradigm, shift the collective consciousness of how, as Black and brown people, how we see ourselves. There's a lot of psychological infiltration, programming, and conditioning that we have that affects our sense of self, our sense of worth, and all of it. There's many roots to it, but it's rooted in a lot of systems that we use on an everyday basis, in almost every aspect of life that we have. The associations with Black are always deemed inferior. And this does something to us, our spirit, our soul. Hence why I call myself the spiritual activist, because I'm always about freeing your spirit, freeing your soul by shifting and redefining your mindset with truth, with uplifting, empowering information, wisdom, and divine messages. Because a lot of the stuff that we have been fed has poisoned our souls, our spirits, our culture, our community. But not all of it we have to eradicate. Some of it we have redefined, we have adapted in a way that has taken our power back already. It does not mean do away with our whole culture. Our culture is in itself the definition of resilience and adaptation and survival. Survival is not always bad. You have to look at it. There's always choice. There's always a way to see something. And you have to be able to shift your mindset of your culture and see the strength and the beauty and the love and the resilience and the strength and the power and the pride that we carry. Because there is always the enemy trying to cast a shadow over a light. We are a light of people. And you have to ask yourself, why is there so much designed to tear us down? What is there to fear? You wouldn't fear a peasant in the sense, even though, you know what I'm saying, like, not to create this idea of inferiority, but you get what I mean. Just to bring an idea. If something was worthless, what would you fear it for? What would you create? Why would you cage it? Why would you program it to believe it's nothing? If it is nothing, it should know it's nothing. But that must mean it is more than nothing. It is extraordinary. It is amazing. It is chosen. It is loved. It is powerful. It is light. Don't believe the delusions and illusions that have been set forth to enslave you. Pray for discernment. Pray for, the divine messages to come to you so you can see your true self and the potential that you have to turn yourself around and your life around. So that's just something I was just thinking about, a lot of that. And then when I was speaking on awakenings as well, like I said, there's a lot that we have to get past, because honestly, the fact that a lot of us feel a pressure to let go of a lot of the things that we have grown to love out of sheer judgment and guilt and fear of being accepted. You don't have to assimilate or conform to everything that's being programmed as a woke, conscious, spiritual Black person. You don't have to be full-fledged practicing all of the spiritual practices. You don't have to be full-fledged abandoning all of the, holidays and traditions that we celebrate in America or whatever. You don't have to do that to be conscious and aware. It's about understanding what the roots are, honoring those that came before you, and just understanding your purpose and your light and living out your ancestors' wildest dreams. As long as you keep those things intact, You can do the things that you still want to do. You can still converse and intertwine with the common folk who are. Excuse me. Lost my train of thought because my son had to let me know that he finished all his food so he can get candy. Story of my life. But anyway, yeah, so what I was saying, it doesn't mean you have to stop intertwining with those who may not seem quote unquote conscious, aware, spiritual, whatever that may be. You have to realize the essence of it all. The essence is love. It's a person's genuine soul. It's a person's intentions. It's a person's heart. Those things surpass and supersede worldly aesthetics, worldly actions. What does this person do when they're around you? How do they make you feel when you're around them? You know what I'm saying? Like, lean into that. That's the language spirit speaks. Anyway, as always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out. Whatever I create or put my name on, I want it to be more than just an aesthetic. I want it to have substance. More than just a cute photo op. You know, I'm more than surface level. I'm deeper than surface level, because a lot of times you have these little places, small businesses, and this not to bring anybody down, like small business, big business. I'm just saying I'm reflecting on what I want. And a lot of times reflections come from experiences. And I recently went on a brunch with, an old friend catching up. We went there. It wasn't bad, but honestly, it wasn't enough bang for my buck. I felt like it was a little, what's the word, like false advertising. Like the pictures you saw of the dishes, it didn't really look like, or I felt like you didn't get what it showed a picture of. And then it's like, yeah, the drinks were cute, but they weren't that good. And it was just like not what social media portrayed. And that's just social media for you. Like, you have to know how to make something seem like something, because if you get them to your door 9 times out of 10, whether you've let them down based on the expectations or not, they're going to still walk in. They've already come all this way. They've already took the time to plan and make arrangements. Unless it's something else, like potentially, like better, close, they're not gonna turn it away. So yeah, but it just made me think about like me. Like, I don't want the things I create or the things I give my stamp of approval on, to just be like an aesthetic. I want it to actually have truth in it. Like, I'm a truth seeker. Like, I'm always really trying to find like the actual good product, not just the thing that's gonna portray to be good and just believably good. That's manipulation. Just to get a lot of money, or something that's a niche that can take advantage of a certain group of people, just because I have the psychology and understanding of where this group of people may be in their trending or in their mindset right now, because it's very easy to sell people. And this is what marketers do. This is what marketing specialists do. They study psychology, they study people, they study sociology. You'd be surprised the amount of science and studying and research that goes into getting people to spend their money. It's like, when you think about it. And that's why I always say, become a conscious consumer. Don't become a product junkie. I know it's hard, but try to find those staple products, staple things in your life, and they really make it hard for you, because you notice when every time it's something that's really, really good, and it's just so good that it's outshining everything else, they take it out the market. They buy that product. They buy that, the rights over, and they change up the recipe so it's not as good. So now you still got to find something else, seek for something else to give you the same results. It's just all bullshit. And that's what I'm saying. If I ever find that product, if I ever create something that I know is like a staple product, can't nobody buy that from me, because I'm going to be happy that I can give somebody a real solution to a problem. And that's the thing a lot of us have an issue with. Like, instead of the $3 million that you got from keeping a solid product with integrity, you want the $10 million that they offered you. I'm like, I'm good with it. It's about greed. Like, that greed will make you say it. So and then it's like, now your name is still attached to that. Believe it or not, whether you sell it or it's no longer, like, that's part of your legacy. So, I don't know. That's just me. Like I said, it's just me. People do what you gotta do to survive, whatever. I'm not judging, but I'm just saying it's just me. Yeah, that's all. As always, keep God first. Peace, love, light, and healing energies. Be open to receiving them. I love you guys. Peace out.